All right. Well, what's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Mode Studios. And today I'm here to talk with you about 5 steps, 5 tactical things that you can do to make sure that you overcome burnout. Not that you just overcome it. Maybe you're already experiencing burnout, whether it's overcoming or to ensure that you don't experience it. We're going to break down these 5 things. Now, how this came about and what inspired me to do this podcast here today is in the GSD Mode Podcast Facebook group, the free group that podcasts, some of our, I think we got about 14,000 of our podcast members in their mastermind and so forth. I did a post not too long ago about, hey, what are things that you guys are struggling with? What are things that you want to hear some more content around? And this was a common thing from so many real estate professionals, agents, team leaders, broker owners. And I know that this extends far beyond just our real estate industry, and so forth. This is something that so many struggle with. So this can be applied to not just yourself, but friends, family members, loved ones, and so forth, that you can share these tactical steps with and help them overcome it as well. So we've all had times in our life. I'm assuming that you have. I know I've had different times of my life where burnouts come up. And what I've learned about burnout is there's no reason to experience it. Or to, if you do experience it, it can be something that can quickly be turned around. Or once you're doing these 5 things I'm going to walk you through today on, if you're doing these consistently, how you can then avoid it altogether, right? Like, we're not wired for burnout. We're wired to keep going out there and have motivation, have drive, have energy, and to go out there and accomplish the shit we want to accomplish. But we got to be intentional with it. The issue is the moments in my life where I've experienced burnout is because I lost sight of these 5 things. I quit doing these things, or I didn't understand them initially, was the first problem. But then even then, I've had times, and just being upfront and honest with you guys, I've had times where then, even though I knew these 5 things, I still then would experience burnout. But every single time it was because I stopped doing, some of these things, or all of them altogether. I don't know what it is in humanity, but it's like a lot of times we just stop doing the shit that gets us results, whatever it may be. We might be doing something that's allowing us to kick ass in business or life, or we're feeling amazing, we feel good, and then we just stop doing it for whatever reason, and I've been guilty of that myself. So let's jump into these 5 different tactical steps to ensure that you overcome or don't experience burnout that so many experience in this life. Okay, so step number 1 is you got to define and create clear, concise goals that are for you. And here's what's really important about this. I know that this is something that's talked about a lot. I've talked about a lot in the podcast here, but I want to talk about it in a slightly different way than maybe I have in the past. Here's one of the reasons why I've discovered, and this isn't just for me, right? I also, coach, have about 1,000 agents at any given time in my different coaching programs. Then I've got all my agents and all my teammates here, my real estate team here. So this are things that I'm walking through, whether it's coaching clients, whether it's agents on my team, and helping other people with people that are also important to me through this consistently and constantly, and helping them get results with this as well. So these aren't just things that I've proven myself. These are things that I've seen so many others experience so much positivity from applying these things and understanding them. So here's the first thing to understand when it comes to goals is most people set goals that are not their own. This is where you got to dig deep, man. This is where you got to take that time, spend time in solitude. You got to unplug from the busyness of life and really start going deep into thinking about your own goals, why they're important to you, why you must accomplish them. And the reason why I'm saying goals here, the word, purpose, you develop, you got to find your purpose. You got to find your why. That stuff gets thrown around a lot. But the reality is most people are going to have a lot of whys. They're going to have a lot of different purposes. It's like, okay, I've got, whether you want to call it why, purpose, goal, same damn word, right? But I have different goals, if you will, that I want to accomplish with my kids, with my overall family, with my health, with my business. I got personal goals I want to accomplish for myself. I have goals within hobbies that I have, so a lot of times we got a lot of different goals. And when I look at this, a lot of people have spent, for thousands and thousands of that, ever since, mankind, if you will, had recorded record, right? So once we discovered that, okay, we can write this stuff down and save these thoughts, and others can read these, after the fact, so thousands of years went out there and invested insane amounts of time trying to find the purpose of life, right? And I don't personally deem that to be a path I want to go down. I think people overcomplicate this. I simplify this. I'm going to reduce this and really simplify this. The way that I look at this is the purpose of life is for us to experience life. then it's up to each of us to identify how we want to experience our own life. What are the experiences that we must have, whether it's relationships, whether it's, within business, whether it's travel, whatever it is. But here's the thing is we got to strip away all these different societal, constructs that we have in our own mind of the way that we should be living life. Now I didn't think about this until I started having kids, but then as I started having kids, I just started observing, okay, like watching my kids and watching, interactions and so forth. I'm like, us as kids, all of us, right? So we just kind of go through this journey. So kids learn at a very early age, mom and dad are happy. Okay, life's good. Mom and dad are happy. They're not angry. They allow me to do more shit, right? Whatever, life is good. Then they start going to school. Okay, I got to make mom and dad happy. I make my teachers happy, the administrators at the school, principal, whatever, like then life is good. Then they get involved in athletics. Okay, mom and dad are happy. My teachers are happy. My coaches are happy. Life is good. So you spend the first 18 years of our life indoctrinated in this, pleasing everybody else, making sure that everybody else is happy. Then it's like, okay, congrats, you're 18 years old. You're going on your own. Now you got to figure out what the hell that you want to do with your whole life. All you've done your whole life is please others, right? And define their happiness based on how they define it. So we're having to morph, right? Not listen to our own wiring, right? Like we're morphing how we act, what we do, what we say, how we conduct ourselves to please all these other people, right? So no wonder that most people then follow that path because it's how we're indoctrinated for the first 18 years or so of our life. Then from there, it's, now I got to please my boss. Now I got to please this person. I got to please my spouse. I got to please all these other people. Now, I'm not saying that there's certain things I want to do that I know that my wife likes or, whatever. And when I can, whatever that makes her happy. Okay. I'm not saying to not go out there and just be an asshole and not try to please other people by any means, right? What I'm saying is so often most people get in this trap, if you will, where their goals just continue to elongate what they've been indoctrinated for the first 18 plus years of our life to, again, continue pleasing other people. Now, I know I've shared this story. Some of you, though, may haven't heard it. In my early 20s, I had a couple year stint where I worked as a nurse's aide at a local hospital in Michigan. And a lot of my time was spent on the hospice floor. And I remember that experience. I mean, I still remember it so vividly today. I don't know the amount of patients. I mean, whether it's hundreds, whether it's thousands, I wasn't taking count, but I had in-depth conversations with so many people. Hospice is kind of coined as heaven's waiting room, right? It's where people go when they're getting ready to leave this life, and so forth. And I was having in-depth conversations with all these patients that I get to know on their deathbed. And dude, every single one of them had this like shoulda, woulda, coulda list. I can't remember and recall one conversation that I had with anybody that was like, oh, life was amazing. Life was great. I'm ready for the next journey, whatever that is. It was just a constant repetitive. I wish I would have went after the career I wanted, but instead I chose the safe career that would have allowed me to be, accepted in society because it was, good enough. I could play the keeping up with the Joneses game. It was the safe route. It wasn't what I truly loved, what I truly wanted, what I truly desired. It didn't feed my soul. Right. But it was, it was the safe route. It was good enough. It's good enough. Right. Provided for my kids. It was good enough. Wish I would have married a different person. Wish I would have, vacationed and traveled more. Right. We can all go out there and just imagine what those laundry lists are. So we got to understand that time is finite. At some point, this journey is going to end. Now, I don't know if there's another journey after this one. I hope that there is, but that's why we call it faith of what it is. But what we do know for a fact is we exist right now. We are here right now. And at some point, this journey is going to end. It is up to you and only you to define what must happen between now and when this journey ends. That's going to allow you, when you were on your deathbed, when you're reflecting and playing back the tapes on your life, right? And going back through and asking, like, are you going to have a shoulda, woulda, coulda list? Or are you going to be like, hey, I played ball. I went out there, did everything I possibly could to live and create the best life I possibly could. Like, I'm ready for that next journey, whatever that may be. Yeah, I might wish I had more time to spend with my loved ones, but man, I played this full out, did everything I could. Maybe I don't accomplish my dreams, vision, and the goals, but I did everything I could, knowing with full certainty, right? Like, I'm not talking about conversations you have with other people. I'm talking about that full certainty in your heart, in your soul, that you gave this your all and you don't have any regret. It's that regret minimalization. So when you're 84 years old on your deathbed, you don't have those regrets. Only you can define this. Who the hell am I? or anybody else in this world or in your life to tell you what your goals for your life should be. And most people don't invest this time. And this is why you can have all these goals, right? But then not really have that vigor, that enthusiasm, that passion. And no wonder you get burnt out by chasing these goals that are somebody else. They're not your damn goals, right? You got to make sure that your goals are your own. I was just having a conversation with one of my teammates recently, and I was like, look, I've got goals that I have of for being a father, for being a husband, for all of these different things. However, I was Joshua Smith before I got married. I was Joshua Smith before I had kids. I was like, who am I? I had goals before all of that happened. I can't sacrifice my own goals, right? So I'm going to have goals for those other things, right? But I'm also going to have my own goals. What must I do? What must I accomplish, right? Like when I'm looking in that mirror, am I proud of the person that I'm seeing look back at me? Right? And spending that time, it can take a lot of time. Getting clarity is not an easy process. It takes time, but get clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you, and all aspects of your life that are really important to you. And really define that. Get extremely clear on that. And then from there, now we can go out there and build that roadmap, which I'll jump into here in a second. But you must identify clear, precise goals. When I say clear goals, there's a lot of goals that I've created, and it took time to get clarity throughout that journey. When I first jumped into, what led me into real estate was I was just sick and tired of being broke. I didn't know how much money I wanted to make or what amount of money would allow me to experience happiness and so forth. But I knew that making $10 an hour, college dropout, being broke as a joke wasn't making me fulfilled. Like I just wanted to make more money. That led to me to leaving the hospitals, jumping into sales. A year later, now I'm jumping into real estate, and led me down this journey. Now, over time, I was able to put a monetary figure to how much I wanted to make. In the beginning, it was just, I knew I had a clear, concise goal that I was sick and tired of being broke. I didn't know what that looked like, right? But I just knew I needed more. I wanted more. I wanted to be, and it's not that I worship money. Money's not my God. But we live in a monetary society, monetary economy where, I truly believe that there's a certain amount of money that we must all make to go out there and experience happiness, right? It's just the reality of it, man. The times where I was broke and stressing about bills and having sleepless nights, like I couldn't experience the regular joys in life when I was in those moments, so setting those clear, concise goals, and so forth. And those of you, and I think that this is really important. I'm not trying to, say that I'm the best parent out there, the best father by any means. I've got my faults. And, but one thing that I am clear, I always, think about legacy. A lot of people talk about legacy, think about legacy, leaving to their family and whatever. And I look at this of, okay, well, like, is money the best legacy? Okay, well, I look at that, there's no shortage of, trust fund babies and trust fund kids that get jacked up and then, don't have the blessings of overcoming certain adversities in life because they were fed with the silver spoon. And okay, well, maybe that's not a guaranteed good legacy for me to leave my family. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. You got to decide this for you. But I know for me that leading by example is one of the best legacies I can ever leave my kids. So if I'm telling my kids or my teammates or anybody, hey, you should go follow your dreams, passion, and goals, but then I'm not doing that. Right? Like if I'm out there sacrificing my dreams, visions, and goals to just go out there and provide for my family because that's what I'm supposed to do, or I have this mindset that that's what I'm supposed to do, my kids are going to see me do that. And then when I'm telling them, I'm making all these sacrifices to tell them to go out there and chase their dreams, visions, and goals. Dude, kids mimic. They don't do what we say, right? They do what we do. They mimic. Right. So I need to make sure that my kids are watching me go out there simultaneously, chasing my goals, dreams, and visions. And I got to lead that by example, and so forth. So get extremely clear on what your goals are. Okay. That's number one. All right. Number two is then to identify the best proven plan to get you from exactly where you're at to where it is that you want to go in each area of your life that you want to create more and that you want to accomplish, whatever that may be. And again, when you're going through and writing out what your goals are, don't allow your mind to go into this, I call this, just societal conditioning of, oh, I don't need that, right? Like that shouldn't be important to me. No, dude, if you desire it, if it's important to you, who gives a fuck what anybody else's opinion is of that thing, right? Like this is your life, man. You got to quit giving two shits about the opinion of others. Most people that have those negative opinions opinions. And I'll argue that all the people that have those negative opinions that think your goals are silly or whatever, don't give two shits about you anyway. So why are you giving two shits about their opinion? Your goals matter to you, only you, and you are the only person that they need to matter to. You don't the rest of the world doesn't owe an explanation of what your goals are, why these goals are important to you and so forth. These are your goals, right? Like this is your life. At some point, you got to start living it. We only have one shot, to go out there and create this and do this, and do something that you truly care about, right? Like a lot of people, like I said, are experiencing burnout because they're going out there and they're every single day, they're waking up and they're doing a bunch of shit all throughout that day that's for somebody else's goals. It's not theirs. So then you end up adopting and living this life that doesn't matter to you, that's not important to you, that you're not passionate about, that you don't have desires about. So no wonder you're walking around like a damn zombie, because you're doing everything to appease everybody else, please everybody else, and you haven't thought for a second about what do you need to be doing, right? So identify then what that best proven plan is, at least that you can construct and come up with in that moment of where you're at to where it is that you want to go. So now you have a plan that you can start following. Then from there, so this is still number 2 here, identifying that best proven plan. So okay, hey, if like for me getting into real estate, I knew that was the best vehicle. I did my due diligence on this. I'm like, okay, I'm a college dropout. I don't want to go back to college. I dropped out of college because I was like, I knew in my bones, even though it wasn't during a time, I'm 40 years old. So when I was in college, it was like, you get out of school, you go to college, you get a good job. Like that was like, I got a lot of shit and a lot of hate, even from loved ones when I made that move. And there wasn't a lot of support, when I made that move and so forth. But deep down, like I knew that college for me was for the birds, right? Like this wasn't the path for me. I didn't believe that I was going to gain anything out of this. Like just that whole experience, it rubbed me the wrong way. Something internally was telling me, this is not where I need to be. I need to be somewhere else. This is just a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of energy, a waste of effort. And that's not going to be for everybody, right? If somebody's lifelong dreams and passions is to go be a neurosurgeon, they need that. For me, it wasn't, right? So I didn't need that thing. So then I started breaking down, okay, well, what would allow me to go out there and create the life that I want to create and have the endless opportunities? I was looking for a vehicle that I had no cap, that I could go out there and work my ass off. And if I was the most committed, hardest working person in that vehicle, then I could go out there and succeed. Real estate was it. Plus I was broke. I didn't have a lot of money to go out there and invest in something. I could get to take a 2-week crash course, spend $100,000, boom, and to go out there and start making money and start hustling. And so real estate was that vehicle. So you're going to have to put some due diligence in this and some time in this. This isn't easy work. It takes time. It might take a month of you really penciling this stuff out, doing research, doing due diligence, but do this for every aspect of your life that's important to you. So when I'm setting up my goals, I'm looking at business, right? And I don't live to work. I mean, I really enjoy my work and what I do, but I work so I can ultimately go out there and live, right? So, okay, business is that vehicle that allows me to go out there and create the life that I want to create for myself, for my family, and so forth, and accomplish those goals that I have. So I'm going to get clarity on that. What must happen at business that allows these other things to take place? And then I develop plans. I start building on that. Okay, what's my goal for my health? What my overall goals, my overall objectives, for my overall health, long-term and short-term. What's my goal for being a father? What's my goal for being a husband? What's my goal? And I have other hobbies and other things that I enjoy doing in life. So I set goals for all of those things to ensure then that I'm not just that I have that goal. So I know the target I want to get to and what winning looks like in that aspect of my life. But now I can identify the best proven plan to make that goal a reality. And now I can start working at that each and every day. So now I'm operating my day intentionally. So I've got my goal. Now I've got a concrete plan to get me from where I'm at to where I want to go, right? Maybe that goal is going to take me 5 years to accomplish. Okay, well, I've got the 5-year roadmap. Then I've got the annual yearly roadmap. Then I got the monthly roadmap. Then I got the weekly roadmap. Then all the way down, I'm able to drill this down to each and every single day. So for example, with health, I got up at 3 a.m. this morning, went out there, walked for an hour. Then I read, I read for about an hour, book that I'm reading right with my self-development. Then I get in the office, did a podcast before this one. Now I'm recording this podcast. I'm going to work until this specific time. I'm going to go home and I'm going to train again for about just over another hour, right? So every day, like I know what my training regimen is. I work out 2 hours every single day. 2 separate sessions, for those who I'm not saying that you got to do this, but this is for me to accomplish the health goals that I have for myself and for me to feel optimized and most energetic and so forth. Like this is the regimen I found that's best for me, so I've got those workouts. I know exactly what my diet's going to be. All of this is planned out. So I also know that for my business and then my family time and all of those different things, my self-development, the hobbies that I have, I make sure this allows me, when I have these concrete plans, to go into every single day with intention and operate and make sure I'm chipping at those things each and every single day. And that alone creates so much fulfillment. I'm not saying it's easy. I didn't want to get my ass out of bed early this morning. I didn't necessarily, when I first started that walk, I didn't want to go out there and do that walk. When I go out there and work out this afternoon, I'm going to do legs. My home gym is in my, converted, I got a 4-car garage. I converted 2 cars of my garage into a home gym. Well, I'm in Arizona. It's going to be 100 degrees today. So I'm going to work out this afternoon in my garage that I don't have AC. I do this intentionally. I push myself through, kind of this hell. I sweat my ass off and I push myself that pain because it just makes me, after the fact, it makes me feel really good. I may not want to do those in the moment, right? But when I'm done with them, it makes me feel fulfilled, right? There's a lot of things that we got to do each and every single day that doesn't feel good necessarily as we're doing that thing. But by the time we're done, because we're seeing the right progress and each and every day, not to get too woo-woo, but whether you want to call it, your soul or whatever it is, like, internally, that you are making progress and on that right progress to accomplish your goals. And that alone will eliminate a lot of the burnout. Doesn't mean that it's easy. Not being burnout doesn't mean that you're not going to have suffering and it's going to always be easy and so forth. You're going to have suffering. Things are going to be painful, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you see that progress, you're like, damn, good, man, I knocked that out. Okay. Step number 3 is I recommend daily, but at a minimum every single week, make sure that you are tracking your progress. So we talked about this. Now that you have your concrete plan, now you're able to go out there and take that daily action. So weekly at a minimum. And this is neuroscientists. This has been, heavily peer reviewed by numerous neuroscientists in the field, have found the power of weekly, at a minimum, weekly tracking based on your progress and that leading to increased dopamine levels in the brain. And dopamine is the only thing in the brain, which I'll get into here more in a moment, that dictates motivation, right? And allows you to feel that drive, that motivation. So dopamine, it's the only chemical inside the brain that allows that experience to happen. So it gives you that additional drive, that additional motivation. Daily is that much better. And you should, in my opinion, be tracking your data daily inside your business, right? Because now I got this goal that I have, these goals, let's just say that I have. Then from there, I've got my plan to accomplish those goals. Now I'm taking daily action on those goals. Now I'm tracking the actions that I'm taking so I can watch my progress, see my progress, know what's working, adapt, adjust is necessary, and so forth. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is energy management. This becomes extremely important because some elements of burnout could just be mental and physical exhaustion. Maybe it is that you love what you do. Maybe it is that you've got your goals clear. But if you don't manage your mental and physical energy, you can then get burnout. There's going to be the burnout that exists because you're just, deep down that you're not on the right path, right? Like, you should be going this way, you should be going left and you're going right. But then there's another element of burnout and they can all feel the same, right? Even though they're 2 different things, it can feel different. It all feels the same. There can be burnout from mental and physical exhaustion. So you got to make sure that you are managing your energy and being intentional with this. Make sure that you're waking up at the same time every single day. You got a morning routine that gets you in the right physical state and mental state and so forth. Make sure you got an evening routine where, you're able to get into bed at the same time and get the amount of sleep that you need each and every day. So then you can go out there and feel optimized throughout the day. I used to be this big kind of hustle, grind, kind of a person. Not that I was, telling others to do what I did, but I pull all these all-nighters and I just grinded. And I was like, I don't need sleep for the week and so forth. After going on that journey for several years, I realized, man, I can get more done if I get a full 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night. I can get more done, even though I have less time and not operate as a zombie. And I found that did not serve and support me at all. For me, I know the importance of sleep. I understand it. I make sure to optimize my sleep and get the adequate amounts. I'm listening to my body and get the adequate amounts that I need. But if I get 8 hours of sleep, then I want to have maximum energy for that next 16 hours that I'm awake to go out there and dominate my day. business and my life outside of business, right? I don't want to just have energy for business, then go home and be a zombie. I want to have energy for both on both fronts, and so forth. So energy management becomes important. Set up those routines, figure out a routine that works for you, figure out a diet that works for you. I'm not saying that you got to be extreme with your diet and so forth, but figure that out. Like, how much water do you need to consume that makes you optimal? One thing I started doing years ago is every meal that I would consume, every meal I'd eat, I would set an alarm. 2 hours later, I would then go journal about how I felt mentally and physically, because food has an impact on us physically and mentally, right? Certain foods make me feel less sharp mentally, and so forth. So I'm going to invest that time to figure out what are the, and I was able to identify what are the foods. Okay, at lunchtime, if I need energy throughout the rest of the day, what are the foods at lunch that I eat that make me need a nap? Okay, well, I'm going to eliminate those foods. What are the foods that make me feel good? What's the diet? All our bodies are different diets, work well and for other people, and so forth. But you're going to figure out what that is for you to have that optimal energy. Now, part of energy is also making sure that you're being intentional. Like, what are some of the things that make you feel good, that make you energized? What are the things that drain your energy? For me, if I'm around like needy people, that are always whining, always complaining and are needy, that drains me, man. Like, I don't want to be around those people. So I take a constant inventory on the people I'm surrounding myself with in my life, and so forth, and trying to eliminate, like, who are the people that I'm around that are fired up, that give me energy, who are the people that drain me, and I want to minimize the people that drain me and then maximize my time with the people that inspire me and so forth. The other thing is just thinking about activities that you're doing throughout the day. Again, what gives you that energy? I talked a lot earlier about how I work out a couple hours each and every single day. A lot of people are like, oh man, that is too much, I don't have the time for that. Working out that 2 hours a day gives me and allows me to create more time, because I'm so much more energized. I feel so much more better when I'm doing that I can get done in 30 minutes, which most people can't do in 3 hours, or that at least I couldn't do in those amount of hours. So it allows me, it's taking time out of my day, but it gives me back time, because I find that energy management really is the controller of time management. But then thinking about, I'll give an example here. Over the last couple of years, we had COVID hit, where everything's shutting down. So I started watching, YouTube a little bit more. And then when all the riots after the George Floyd incident happened, I'm starting to watch more YouTube, and I don't have regular cable TV at my house. I'm utilizing, YouTube to go out there and watch more news and just try to keep an eye of what's going on. And, just watching all this crazy shit that was taking place in our world at that time. Well, I quickly realized that, dude, like, it was draining my energy. I was feeling off. I wasn't feeling as inspired. I was feeling demotivated, demoralized, all of these things. And I quickly realized that was a thing that I had changed in my life. And I quickly eliminated watching those types of videos, watching the news, all of those things that were bringing me down, because that was hindering my energy. So it's going to be different for all of us. Maybe watching those things doesn't reflect on your energy. That's okay. Like, everybody's going to be different. We're all wired different. We all process things in a different way. This is about you. You got to pay attention to these things in your life. So energy management becomes huge. Now, when it comes to energy management, one thing I started talking about earlier was dopamine. I'm not going to go into a whole dopamine lesson here. I did a video a week or so ago. You can go check it out on my YouTube channel or wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast at, on how to go out there and instantly gain motivation and to get shit done, which was all about dopamine and how dopamine works in the brain and so forth. But you need to understand that the motivation that you feel, the drive that you feel, is controlled by one chemical, and only one chemical in the brain. It's called dopamine. You are in full control of it, right? You can dictate, like, you can give yourself more spikes of it, and naturally, not without crazy stimulants or harmful substances and so forth. But then you can be intentional with minimizing things that have negative impacts on it. In that video, I break all of that down. But what I want you to understand right now is dopamine is the only chemical in the brain that controls all of our motivation and drive. So many people are like, oh, I need to go watch more videos, read more books, more motivation, got to go to more events, more conferences. You go walk on fire 3, 4, 5 days later, you're on fire for 3, 4, 5 days, figuratively. But then all of a sudden it wanes. There's that saying out that motivation's like a warm bath. You're in it, but temporarily, like, as soon as you get out, man, you're cold, you're shivering again, and so forth. So, but that is not the answer. The answer is understanding dopamine and how it works in the brain, and then maximizing the things that increase your baseline and naturally increase dopamine levels, and make sure that you're being intentional with suppressing the negative things that have a negative counter impact on that drop your baseline dopamine levels, that drop it, you have the reverse negative spikes on your dopamine levels that will allow you to be more motivated, because the dopamine is all, again, it's about dominating your environment and collecting future resources that allow you to go out there and have a better future. So dopamine also, what really, like when you get really clear on what your goals are, and all of a sudden you feel amazing, you feel euphoric, like in that moment you feel you can take on the world. Those are dopamine hits taking place, right? And dopamine, because again, dopamine is about domination of your environment and collection of future resources to allow for a better future. So you've got you got dopamine, then you got all your here and now chemicals, which are kind of the opposite of dopamine. That when those are suppressed, when those are activated, dopamine suppressed, and vice versa. But that's why you get that euphoric, amazing feeling. You feel on fire, like, oh man, I'm driven, right in that moment. Well, then from there, when you then identify that clear, concise plan, and you know what you need to be doing and taking action on each and every single day, those are going to be dopamine hits that are taking place. It's going to make you feel more and more motivated as you go through. I'll share one story on dopamine with you guys. I took these rats. You had 50% of the rats that had regular dopamine levels, the other 50% where they gave them a chemical that blocked their dopamine, so they had zero dopamine in the brain. Now, they first started off by having these rats push this lever, and they got this food pellet. So it'd be like us eating, I don't know, whatever your favorite sweet or dessert is, right? That feels really good. That allows you to have that, instant pleasure feeling while you're doing that. So both sets of rats, suppressed dopamine and regular dopamine, because the lever was right in front of them, they pressed the lever. Right? They're pressing the lever, getting the pellet, feeling the pleasure. Dopamine does not allow you to experience the pleasure. Dopamine is the thing that gets you off of your freaking ass to get the shit done. So then you can go out there and seek and feel that pleasure that you have. So then what they did is they moved the rats a rat length away. So body length away from the lever. So the rat actually had to move to the lever, then press the lever and get it. The rats that had the suppressed dopamine, or where they shut off their dopamine levels, wouldn't move to the lever. They stayed there, and they allowed themselves to starve to death, right? So if the lever was in front of them, boom, they push it, they'd experience the pleasure. But now that they were moved away from it, they would not move a body length away to go press the lever to experience, that pleasure. So dopamine, again, and I share that story with you guys in that research study that neuroscientists did to show you that dopamine is about that motivation, that drive. Dopamine is what stimulates and activates you to go out there and take action on the things that you want. So then you can experience the pleasure. You're gonna gain pleasure either way, once you get the result that you want, right? If you do this right and so forth and have the right goals. But dopamine is the thing that gets your ass out of couch. Like you can have to go get the cheesecake, and whether dopamine levels or not, still feel good from that cheesecake. But dopamine is the thing that gets you off your couch, gets you into the car, drive to that restaurant where you want that cheesecake. That's what dopamine. So dopamine is energetic. It gives you more energy, gives that euphoric feeling, and so forth. Okay, so the fifth thing, and the last thing I want to talk to you about these 5 steps here, is your environment itself. So you got to make sure that you're setting up your environment to win, because we got our goals. We know what our action is to make those goals a reality. Well, we got to set our environment up to go out there and win on those things daily. So anything that is blocking these different things from you, a lot of people think that success is an addition. It almost never is an addition. It's almost always an elimination. It's by asking yourself, what or whom must I eliminate in order to be able to do more of the things I need to do to make my goals a reality? So what's blocking you from this? Right? And that's from your home environment, all of this different stuff. Example, when I don't drink alcohol anymore, but when I first gave it up, I was too weak. I was addicted. And so I realized at that point, okay, I can't have any alcohol in the house. I can't go to any parties, any events, any barbecues, any get-togethers where there's a lot of alcohol involved, because I knew I was too weak and I would give into those things. So I eliminated those from my environment. And it took me about 6 months until I gained the strength, the willpower, the discipline to where those things I had the strength to say no to those things and they didn't bother me. So I set my environment up to win, to be successful with that thing. So what do you need? How do you need to create your environment? What do you need to eliminate from your environment to keep you on task so you're accomplishing these things, and so forth? Because the second that your behaviors start to take you away and veer away from the action steps that you need to be taking to make your goal a reality, you're gonna feel this internal pain, and it's gonna start feeling like burnout. And the more that you veer away, burnout will exist, and so forth. Burnout really exists for a couple of different reasons that I found is you don't have clarity on what is that you truly want in this world, or you are not following a plan to make those a reality. And I look at that as when I have that negative, that depressed feeling, that demoralized feeling, that negative, that pain feeling that we have internally when we're feeling burnout and so forth, or just depressed and down. I look at that as a sign, whether you want to call it God, whether you want to call it the universe, that's a sign to wake me the hell up. I look at that as like, I don't look at that as a negative. When I have that feeling, that to me is a positive, because it allows me to shine a magnifying glass on where I'm fucking up, right? So hang out with like-minded people. This is so important. Whatever your goals are, I'm not saying you're going to have people that are important to you in your life that maybe don't share the same goals, that you have and so forth. And not everybody needs to share your goals with you. I recommend to make sure that you still share your goals with them and get them to be a cheerleader for your goals. But I have important people in my life that don't share the same goals that I have. I support their goals. They support my goals. We don't try to get each other to be somebody that we're not. We support each other in our goals, even though they might be totally opposite. But I also am going to make sure to spend as much time as I can, at least, with whether those goals are, with people that have same goals. Right? So for me, with my health, I want to hang out like after hours and so forth with people. I don't want to go hang out with people that all they want to do is I don't know, go sit down and stuff their face with cheesecake and ice cream. I want to go hang out with people that want to go on an epic hike. Right. Outside that, with business, same thing. I don't want to hang out with people that are like, oh, dude, I don't want to work. I'm tired of this stuff. And they just bitch, moan, and whine about business. I want to talk about, what's the future of this business. Right before this podcast, I just got to have a conversation with one of my good buddies that I've known for about a decade now. And we're talking about all this different technology and the different technology projects that we're both involved in the real estate industry and the future of the real estate industry and what we can do to have an impact on this industry and impact on our own families. I mean, it was just an hour conversation, dude. Like I got that call. I'm just like, boom, let's go do this thing. Right. So get around as many like-minded people as you possibly can. Jim Rohn, his famous quote is, you're an average of the 5 people that you spend most time with. So make sure that you are being intentional with hanging out with like-minded people. Eliminate, and I already kind of talked about this, but eliminating people and things that are pulling you down. Right? Anything you got to be that like bulldozer, man. It's like lead follower, get the hell out of my way. Here's my goals. I'm going to make my goals a reality that I have that important to me in life. And if you are retracting me from those goals, like I don't want to spend time with. I want to minimize time with people like, oh, Josh, you're working too hard. Oh, you like, oh no, Josh. Like, okay, I don't drink alcohol, right? So now I'll still go out and my wife still drinks, right? And it works out good because she always has a guaranteed DD. And my friends that drink, they always know if and when we go out to dinner or whatever, that I'm able to be the DD and I offer that up and so forth. It doesn't bother me to be around them. I could still have a good time and so forth. But I wouldn't spend time with them in those activities if they're like, oh, Josh, just come on, have a drink. Just have a drink. Man, just have a drink. Oh, it's good. You could just drink this one time. Dude, it's good. No, they are enablers, right at that point. They are blocking me from becoming the best version of myself and allowing my goals to become a reality, right? So I want to hang out with the people that are supportive of my goals. We don't have to have the same goals, but I want them to be a cheerleader, support those, understand those, respect those, right? And not be negative and enablers trying to, cock block me from my dreams and making my dreams a reality. So what are the things, right? Like I don't watch, I got rid of cable TV a long time ago. I don't watch, I don't sit there and binge watch Netflix shows and, and so forth, because I know that those things are minimizing and taking away from the right actions I need to be doing to go out there and accomplish the goals that I want to have. So again, always be asking yourself, what or whom do I need to eliminate or minimize my time with or around that is diluting my ability to go out there and take massive and maximum action on the things that are leading me to accomplishing the things that I want. Because remember, these are the goals. And this is why this is so important to you and why otherwise you'll probably cave in, give out, burn out, all these things if they don't really matter to you. And that's why I spent so much time on getting clarity on what you want, why you want it, why it's important to you, challenge those different beliefs. We as human beings, it's like we challenge all of our beliefs other than those that we truly believe. Well, have you challenged those things that you truly believe? Why do I believe this? Why is this important to me? Does this really fucking matter to me? Right? Do I really need this type of a house? Whatever it is, and it's only going to be you are the only one that can be accountable to those answers and really respond those internally. Because again, who the hell am I or anybody else to tell you what success should mean for you in your life? But you got to break those down and understand those and have that clarity on those, and then set up your life intentionally so you have the maximum energy, you have the right plan, you're tracking these things, and you're able to go out there and setting up your environment to continue to take action on those things to get you one step closer. And then each and every day, man, you're chipping away at it. You're getting one step closer each and every day, each and every week, each and every month, right? And then you're seeing those wins pile in and keep coming into fruition. As long as you stay on this game, boom, burnout won't exist. How come, especially if most of you are watching this are in real estate. It's like, dude, we're not freaking tarring roofs. There's no reason that we should be physically, mentally burned out by what we do, right? But so often it's because we're chasing the wrong things. And I'm not saying that you got to get out of this industry, right? But you got to define and break down, why'd you get in this industry? What was it about the corporate world that didn't work for you, right? Like what does this industry, if you can win at the level you want to win, what does that precisely mean for you in your own personal world? And what are these opportunities, what does all this stuff look like? And take that time to do that. Then from there, right, be aware of this process and what this is, and this, I go through this process quite often, and minimum once a year, but a lot of times more than that, because things can change. We can have certain life experiences that take place where it's like, okay, this thing I thought was important to me maybe isn't. Right. Like I had certain things that were maybe more important to me before I had kids than are now after I have kids. It's like I've changed, right? As you grow, as you expand, as you self-develop, you are going to change, right? Like if you want more, you first must become more, right? Like you want things to change, you have to change. So you're going to change. You're going to metamorphosize. You are going to evolve. So your goals are going to metamorphosize. They're going to change. They're going to evolve. So you got to do that assessment check. Are these still important to me? Has this changed? Right. And reassess those certain things, because you don't want to be, okay, maybe this is the path for me to take right now. Then all of a sudden, boom, a decade, like you just kind of, getting this, rat in this wheel. Decade later, you're still on that same path and realize, oh man, this wasn't the path I wanted to be on or need to be on. Right. Things can change, things can come up. So this is, a consistent evaluation and assessment of, is this still important to me? Does this still matter to me? Listen to yourself, right? Like take that time. This is why solitude is such an important element of this process, whether it's 20 minutes a day, whether it's 3 hours a day, I don't care, but you need to unplug, ditch the devices for a little bit, even if it's only 20 minutes a day, spend that time in solitude, get pen to paper, and start, really reflecting on, how does this make me feel? Is this important to me? Is this what I really want? What is my internal self telling me, right? There's more neurons in your gut than there are in a canine dog, right? I mean, so your gut is really the second brain. What's my gut telling me? What's my intuition telling me? Is this what I really want? Is this really important to me? Does this really matter to me? Is this doing it for me? And you'll feel it, you'll know it. But if you're so busy and you're always plugged in, first thing you do when you wake up, you check social media, you're just plugged in all day long. When people are like, oh, I can't meditate. It's too difficult to meditate. It's too difficult to spend 5 minutes by myself with no device, just sitting there with my own thoughts. Man, it's too difficult, too painful, right? That's problematic. Right. And I'm telling you right now, like you're going to miss out on a lot of shit in life if you can't do that and invest that little bit of time in solitude and find out what's important to you. Because the only way for you to find out what's important to you is to truly listen to yourself. Right. Like the answers are within, but you got to slow down. You got to lower that pressure, lower that noise so you can listen internally and so forth. All right, guys. So these are the 5 steps to overcome burnout. Yes, it's work. Right. But dealing with burnout all day and dealing with those negative thoughts and emotions, that's a shit ton of work too. You got to pick, what type of work am I going to do? What's more important? What do I want to experience? Right. Both of them take work. Both of them take sacrifice. Nothing's easy in life. there's no handouts. It takes work, but you got to pick and choose what type of work that you're going to do. Being broke, it takes as much effort and work as being, having money and so forth. Having poor health is as much work and effort as having great health. Right. And so forth. So you just got to ask yourself, which pain would I rather experience? Would I rather experience the pain of the discipline and doing some of these hard things in the moment, so then I could go out there and be truly fulfilled and accomplish and create the life that I truly want for myself? Or do I want to experience the pain of regret and the pain of suffering that I feel in the moment, and the pain of depression and being demoralized? And so there's pain either way. You just got to pick and choose which pain you want. All right. I hope you found this helpful. Keep crushing, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you next time. Peace.